Hello and welcome to my online masterclass. It's so bright here. It's sunny outside. It's so cool. So, my name is Angelina and my passion, the passion of my life, is soap making. It started as a hobby a few years ago and now I work full-time creating magnificent soaps. Look at this one. Look how pretty it is. I'm really proud of this one. And moreover, I sell outstanding molds. So, in today's masterclass, I want to talk to you about getting started with melt and pour soaps. So, in this masterclass, I gathered only the essentials to make it easy, useful, and interesting for you. So, today we're talking about melt and pour soap bases and differences between them. After that, we will talk about colorants, oils, fragrances, essential oils, and soap molds. So, let's jump into my masterclass. So, this masterclass will be really short, but I will be talking only about the essential and important stuff before starting soap making. I will start with soap bases. So, we have transparent and white melt and pour soap bases. These soap bases can be already used as soaps. For example, you can cut a piece of this one and already wash your hands with this one without any problem. So, they can be already used as soaps, but they don't have any fragrances or colors added to them. What makes them really pretty. So, the composition of these soap bases is they consist of glycerin. They are called melt and pour, but they're also called glycerin soap bases. So they consist of glycerin, water, detergent, and hardening particles. Otherwise, it won't be so hard and it won't work as soap. This composition allows us to work easily with this soap base. The only difference between transparent and white soap base is that white soap base contains titanium dioxide, dióxido de titanio in Spanish. Titanium, as we all know, is a metal. This metal is commonly found in plants. Titanium usually interacts with oxygen, like with air, and it forms titanium oxides that can be commonly found in dust, sands, and soils. Titanium dioxide is a very fine and white powder that provides a bright white pigment. Actually, it's an active ingredient in sunscreen. You see, when you put your sunscreen on your hands or your face, you see that it's white. The sunscreen is white. Moreover, it's used in cosmetics, paper, food contract materials, and ingredients, for example, for decorative aids in some foods, like cakes, cheese, and so on. So, the only difference between these two bases, transparent one and white one, is that in white one we can see why it's white because it contains titanium dioxide, that is oxidized metal basically, that is used in food production and so on, so it's considered to be safe. Besides white and transparent soap bases, melt and pour soap bases, we also have an organic melt and pour soap base. This soap base consists mainly of oils, but we also have chemicals added to this melt and pour soap base to make it easy to work with. So, it smells good. So, we have three types of melt and pour soap bases. Organic ones that consists of oils and chemicals. Transparent one that consists of water, glycerin, detergent, and hardening particles. And white one. The only difference between transparent and white one is that here we have a titanium dioxide. How do we work with our soap base? Firstly, we need to cut it into small pieces. Small equal pieces. Why small equal pieces? Because if we have equal pieces, it will be easy to melt our soap base evenly. Secondly, we need to heat our soap base to give it a form. We can melt it in a double boiler or microwave. I don't recommend melting your soap base directly on open fire because you can overheat it, and as a result your soap can sweat later. I think everybody saw like the soap on the here on the soap, you can see like small drops. Why does this happen? Firstly, because you overheated your soap base, and the glycerin that attracts all the humidity is interacting with the humidity, and so that's why you see all the drops on your soap. So your soap started sweating because you overheated it. If you're using microwave for heating your soap, it usually takes from 2 to 3 minutes to melt 220 milliliters of soap base, or 15 minutes for 1 liter. I'm gonna melt this soap base in the microwave so you can see how it turns liquid. I already have melted soap. You see, it's totally liquid. And what you're gonna do after you melted your soap? So after you melted your soap base, you need to pour it into a mold. If you see bubbles on the surface of your soap, spray it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and after that they will disappear. So what can we use as a mold for our soaps? We can use silicone or plastic molds. Both are great for creating extraordinary pieces. However, if you're using a silicone mold, keep in mind that after you pour your transparent soap into a silicone mold, it can lose its transparency and become opaque. Here I will show you some of my molds. For example, these ones are plastic ones. The advantage of plastic molds is that if you pour a transparent soap inside molds like this, it won't lose its transparency. You can also use silicone molds. For example, well, I have this one. This is exactly for soaps. But I also have these ones. These ones I bought in a bakery store. So these ones are normally used for muffins. Or for example, you can see this one. This is a big one. So you pour your soap inside. And after that you cut it. Here, for example, normally I have something like 6 soaps. So I already have my melt and pour soap base. It's totally liquid. And I'm gonna put it into a mold. Remember, your soap is already ready, like this, so you can use it like this without any problem. So yeah, I'm just using this one. And I will wait a little bit till it hardens. So this is already a soap. You don't need to do anything with it. You can take it out of your mold and already use it. So, a good question is, when your soap is ready. You can see I have this soap here, I have this soap here. Well, actually I have a lot of soaps here. For example, this one. So the question is, how do you understand when your soap is ready? Well, it depends on a lot of things. For example, it depends on your soap base temperature. The temperature that was when you poured your soap into your mold. The volume, for example, 1 liter is different from 220 milliliters, and the environment temperature. Approximately, it takes something like 30 minutes. With a glycerin soap, you don't need to wait till it hardens, till it cures, because this soap doesn't need to cure. You can use it directly after it hardens. You can use it, you can gift it, you can sell it. It's only up to you what you do after this. So, approximately it takes 30 minutes to harden, and you can use it directly after it hardens. So now we're talking about colorants. Because as you can see, this soap base has no fragrances, no colorants added to them. So how do we make this look like this? What colorants can we add to our soaps? Here, for example, we have different options. We can use cosmetic colorants or food colorants. The difference between cosmetic and food colorants is that cosmetic colorants are less intensive in color than food ones. For example, here I have these ones. These are cosmetic colorants. Also, for example, this. They're all cosmetic colorants. Here is also. So these ones are cosmetic colorants. They are more intensive than food colorants, but the only inconvenience of food colorants is that they tend to migrate. What does it mean when a colorant migrates? Migration means that the color can affect other parts of your soap. For example, and color them. For example, here you can see the brownish color. Here you can see the white color. If here we put a migrant color, it will interfere with the white base and it will color it a little bit. So we won't see the fine line here. We won't see any line here. The color will go up. That's what food colorants do. So when buying your colorants, you need to be sure if you need to buy colors that migrate or not. It depends only on your imagination. So, moreover, we can use pigments to color our soap. Pigment is a powdered colorant that provides strong or less strong color. It depends on the amount of pigment you put into your soaps. Pigments are usually made in labs to prevent any chance of bacteria or other compounds. Usually, you need to mix your pigments with oils. So you need to combine pigment with an oil. Here I have a pigment, for example. You need to combine it with an oil and only after that put it into your soap. You can equally mix it with glycerin or with oil. In general, you can buy pigments that are already mixed with glycerin. What else can you add to your soaps to make it pop? For sure, you can add glitters. Now we have biodegradable glitters and micas. Mica is a mineral dust. Here you can see it. Mica is a mineral dust often used in makeup products, as for its reflective properties, allowing a shimmer effect. For example, we can see mica in eyeshadows, in makeup base, and also in lipstick. So, in order to be able to use mica, you need to mix mica with rubbing alcohol before use. While using glitter, take into account that if your soap base is really hot, glitter will settle on the bottom of your soap and won't be distributed evenly in your melted soap base. So, pay attention to the temperature of soap base where you're putting glitter. Because a lot of people, when they mix glitter in their soaps, they expect that this glitter will be divided evenly, but it settles on the bottom of your soap. So the only reason why it does this is that your soap base was too hot before you mixed it with glitter. Oils and butters. To make your soap softer for your skin, you can add oils or butters. So, for example, here I have sesame oil, and also here I have I have butter like this. I think it's cacao one. So you can use both butters or oils. The only thing that you need to keep in your mind that if you add too much oil or butter to your soap will be less leathery, so it won't make a lot of bubbles. It will lose its possibility to make bubbles and to be soapy. Moreover, it can lose its transparency if you're using it in transparent soap base. If you want to use oil-based colorants, because, well, as we know, we have a lot of different colorants in the market. So if you want to use oil-based colorants, choose water-soluble ones, as they don't change the transparency of soap base. Now, let's talk about fragrances. To make your soap aromatic, you can use cosmetic fragrances or essential oils. Well, essential oils are made from plant extracts. For example, here I have lemon essential oil, grapefruit, orange, ylang ylang. So, if we're talking, for example, about orange essential oil, it's made from orange zest. As we know, essential oils can cause allergies and irritation. So, you should add no more than from 3 to 7 drops for 100 milliliters of your soap base. Well, as we all know, we can't have, for example, an essential oil of croissant because, well, there is no plant like croissant. So, that's where the fragrances get into the game. At the moment, we can choose from a huge variety. For example, here you see the fragrances. I buy them in bottles like this. At the moment, we can choose from a huge variety of aromas, from soft to crazy ones. The quantity of drops of this one depends on the intensity of aroma. For example, here I have the minty one. I won't add a lot of drops of this one because this aroma is really intense. But for example, this one that I have is rum. I will add like a lot of drops because this aroma is less, this fragrance is less intense. So the quantity of drops of the fragrances depends on the intensity of aroma, but normally it's from 4 to 5 drops per one soap of 100 milliliters. The soap that I made here has already hardened. I will take it out of the mold and you will see. So here is already, you can already see, here is the soap. You can already use it, you can wash your hands with it. You can put a bow on it. You can gift it to anyone, though. To make the soap look prettier, before pouring into the mold, we can add colorants, we can add fragrance oils, we can add fragrances, we can add micas. I will open it again to show you. So we can add mica, we can add pigment, so we can color this soap, we can add a fragrance, put it in a perfect gift box. Here I have one. For example, like box like this. You can put it in a box and it's ready. In this masterclass, I gathered all the important basic information about melt and pour soap bases that we know. Only three melt and pour soap bases exist: transparent, white, and organic. Then we talked about colorants that we can use in our soaps. We can use food colorants, we can use cosmetic colorants, we can use pigments, we can use glitters, we can use micas. Then we talked about fragrances, we talked about essential oils, and we talked about fragrances. Also, we talked about soap molds, for example, silicone ones, plastic ones. And then we talked about different temperature, about when you understand that your soap is ready to use, when you need to pour your soap base, and I hope this masterclass was easy. I hope this masterclass was useful, and thanks for watching.